Morning, folks. My name is Kurt Hitzemann, County Court Judge here in Hernando County. You folks are here for your first appearance. The purpose of the first appearance is so that you may be informed of the charges against you. I'll determine if probable cause exists for those charges. Probable cause simply means that it's more likely than not that a crime has occurred, and more likely than not that you're the person who committed the crime. Of course, as you stand before me this morning, I presume you're innocent of any charges. That presumption of innocence will stay with you through every stage of the proceedings, unless and until the State Attorney's Office can prove the allegations against you beyond and to the exclusion of a reasonable doubt. We'll set your conditions of pretrial release this morning, that is your bail or your bond. In most cases, you've had a bond set already pursuant to the bond schedule here in the 5th Judicial Circuit, or the warrant which led to your arrest. I'll determine if that bond should be raised or lowered or left the same, or whether there'll be additional conditions of pretrial release placed upon you. We'll let you know when your next court date will be. If you'd like to have the services of the public defender, I'll gladly appoint the PD to represent you this morning. You do have a right to have contact with folks on the outside, family, friends, counsel. If you have not had a chance to make that call, please let me know. We'll make sure that that happens. Finally, and most importantly, you're advised that you do have an absolute right to remain silent with regard to the facts which surround your arrest. I encourage you to do that. These proceedings are recorded. In addition, there is an assistant state attorney in the courtroom with me. If you say something that tends to incriminate you, they will use it against you in the prosecution down the road. I now need each and every one of you there at the jail to please raise your right hands and be sworn. You too, sir. Y'all solemnly swear affirm to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth? Very good. When you hear your name called, please step forward to the podium. Samantha Glasheen. Morning, Samantha. What's your date of birth?
11/15/1994.
All right, Samantha, you're here on a warrant signed by Judge Toner. He found probable cause for a violation of probation. Mr. Peeble.
Good morning, Judge. In this case, we'd be asking for a bond. I know where that's going. And the alternative, what I'm asking for, Your Honor, is that this case be moved to Monday for his VOP arraignment. I talked to the prosecutor on the case already. He has no objection. It's Joe Justice.
Okay. And that's the 20 minutes?
Right, Your Honor, at 8:30 in the morning.
All right, so I will leave the bond at no bond, but we'll change your date, Samantha, to January 29th in front of Judge Toner, all right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Samantha, Peyton's going to be there on Monday morning, okay?
29th.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Have a good one, Judge.
Thanks, man. Ashley Uber. Morning, Ms. Uber. What's your date of birth?
6/15/1982.
And Ms. Uber, you're here on a charge of retail theft. There's probable cause for that charge. Ashley, as to that charge, you want to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll appoint the PD, State.
Showing no history for the offender.
Okay. Ashley, I have an address for you on 82nd Avenue North in Seminole. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you lived there?
For about 12 years.
All right, you still live with your folks?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a job these days?
Not right now.
Ashley, I'm going to release you on your own recognizance. That means they're going to let you out of jail today. You must be back in court here in Brooksville on the 14th of February. It's very important that you contact the public defender's office before then, okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Brandy Berbers. Morning, Brandy. Date of birth?
Morning. 10/22/74.
Brandy, I've got 3 counts. 1 count of retail theft and 2 counts of resisting a merchant's efforts. There's probable cause for those charges. As to those charges, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire a private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll appoint the PD. State.
So she did have a prior theft. He'll read the other history, but there was a prior theft that was here in Hernando in 2015 where she was adjudicated guilty and given time served.
Showing that she's a multi-source offender, showing a failure to appear out of Hernando County in 2016, a failure to appear out of Hernando County in 2016, a disposition guilty convicted of a trespass in Hernando County in 2015, The petty theft, that is in 2015 out of Hernando County. In 2016, a petty theft, disposition guilty, convicted in 2014 out of Hernando County.
She was placed on probation for that, Judge.
And out-of-state history is as follows. A charge of assault, convicted upon pleaded guilty out of New York, and a DUI out of New York in 97, convicted. And that's what I'm showing, Your Honor.
All right, Brandy, I have an address for you on Pine Top Ridge Lane. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long you been there?
2 years.
You have a job these days?
Yes, I clean houses.
I'm going to leave the bonds per the schedule, which is $2,000 on the theft and $500 on the 2 misdemeanors for a total of $3,000. I'll have you back in court on the 20th of. Oops, I need a felony date on this one.
What's the felony date?
Jay, what's the felony date we're working on? But still, it's just the wrong courtroom on here. So. Okay. It'll be the 20th of February, Brandy. If you bond out, you should go see the public defender right away. If you can't bond out, they'll come see you at the jail. And whose docket?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Whose docket is that? Meredith. John Moore. Come on up, John. Morning, John. What's your date of birth?
10/11/57.
John, this is a warrant that was signed by Judge Heineman. State, is this just an up man? Is that what this is? This looks like it has some age on it. Do you guys know?
I'm looking. It's, I think it was just an open,
But it was a misdemeanor. It was 17 MM 4460, and now it's 18 CF 199 based on a prior battery. So, John, it was a misdemeanor battery. Because the state believes they can show you that you had a prior battery, they're charging it as a felony, just as a second or subsequent offense. And as to that charge, you want to represent yourself, you want to hire private counsel, would you like a public defender?
Public defender, please.
I'll appoint the PD. All right.
Judge, I still, there were 2 felonies.
There are 2 other open felonies. What are the? Yeah, anybody have offense dates on?
Yes, sir. On the 17 CF 1918, it was 6/15/27 offense date. I can check the arrest date.
I'm sorry. Did you say 6/15/27?
6/15/2017.
Oh, okay, 2017. I thought you said 27.
They're already anticipating.
Okay.
And then I think there's 1734 is still open, and that offense date is 8/4/2017.
Well, had he been RCO'd on either of these earlier then?
I don't see an RCO note on the misdemeanor.
I certainly see that Mr. Moore is in custody. He's been in custody a while, John?
Yes, sir, since 15th of December.
When you got this charge. So he
Yes,
must
sir.
have got RCO'd that day.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I would ask that be maintained.
Well, I wanted, because that must be on the felony cases, not on this.
And he's in front of the felony judge.
Tomorrow. Today, right.
Yes.
Right. Okay. All right, so John, I'll set the bond on this at $2,000. Condition is that you'd have no contact with any alleged victim. Then I will change the date on this to today. So we'll send it downstairs with your cases. Cases are down there already. Today's the 26th. So we'll get all your cases synced together.
And I know he does have a PD on the other case.
Yeah, he said he asked for the PD. All right, so they'll take you back downstairs, Sean. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Yep. Daniel Batchelor.
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Morning, sir. What's your date of birth?
2/12/82.
So you're hearing a warrant that was signed by Judge Scaglione. He found probable cause for 1 count of stalking. As to that charge, you wish to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Private counsel.
Very good. State, what can you tell me?
We have a dropped battery out of Hernando County in 2016, a disposition guilty convicted of a petty theft in 2011 out of Pinellas County, a contempt of court out of Pinellas County in 2007, a burglary, no disposition out of Pinellas County in 2002, a disposition guilty convicted of a battery out of Pinellas County in 2002, and that's all I'm showing, Your Honor.
Daniel, I have an address for you in Gideon, Missouri. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have a job back in Missouri?
Yes, sir.
What do you do?
I take care of my parents' property.
Okay. All right. We're going to set your bond on this case at $1,000. Condition of the bond is that you have no contact with Kendall Carolus. No contact means no contact of any kind. You don't call, you don't write, you don't email, you don't text message, you don't contact her through any social media. Don't have a third person contact her. Don't go where she lives. You don't go where she works. You don't have any contact of any kind. Any way that you might imagine contacting her, I forbid you to do that. If you have contact and we find out about it, your bond can be revoked and you can be held without bond until the charges are resolved. It means no contact even if she wanted to contact, so if you answer your phone and hear her voice, you should hang up. If you're out and about and see her, you should turn around and run the other way. You need to understand that she cannot drop the charges against you. That's not a decision she's allowed to make. It's conceivable she would go to the state attorney's office and ask them to drop the charges, might tell them she's not interested in pursuing this matter, but that decision belongs solely to the assistant state attorney who may be handling your case. So unless that person or the judge on your case tells you the charges are dropped, you should assume they are not dropped and you should not have contact. I'm going to have you back in court on the 14th of February. Make sure when you speak to your lawyer, you tell him about that date, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Pentliff. Want to, sir, what's your date of birth?
6/20/94.
Michael, the charge is retail theft. There's probable cause for the charge. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender?
PD.
Appoint the PD. Stay with me, tell.
Showing a guilty convicted of a marijuana possession out of 2017 and out of Pasco County. A guilty charge of a controlled substance without prescription out of Pasco County. And I believe that
Okay.
is it.
Michael, I've got an address for you on Mason Street in Newport Richey. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been there?
5 years.
Do you have a job these days?
No.
I'm going to leave your bond at the $500. I'm going to have you back in court on February 14th. If you get out, make sure you contact the public defender's office right away, okay?
All right.
Thank you. Ryan Buchholz. Ryan, what's your date of birth?
3/28/81.
Ryan, the charge is aggravated battery. There's probable cause for the charge. As to the charge, you want to represent yourself, you want to hire private counsel, would you like the public defender?
That do a public defender.
Appoint the PD. See, he's got open cases.
There's,
2018 days. 2018 court cases. So, what are the
yes,
offense
sir.
dates on those?
I couldn't tell, may not have been updated in our system, but I saw a DUI 120.
That's in front of Judge Ruppy. There's a felony in front of Judge Toner, too. CF 192.
Well, do you know the misdemeanor number?
CT 322.
You said CF?
192.
Was that 18 or 17?
Hasn't been built in our system yet.
That's 18.
I thought Marie changed.
Is the offense date? It's the offense date for those two. That's the offense date on this as well. What's the offense date on the misdemeanor?
120.
They're all 120.
Yeah, Judge, the PC notes that He was arrested on 120 for separate offenses related to this
Okay.
investigation. So it must all stem down.
Got it. All right. So Steve, besides what's happened here in January, what other history?
Showing that he's a multi-source offender with a charge of a disposition guilty convicted of obstruct without violence in 2013, and a disposition guilty convicted of criminal mischief in 2013 out of Orange County, and a failure to appear reference in Pasco County in 2009. Failure to appear out of Hernando County in 2009, driving with the license suspended, disposition guilty convicted in 2008, fleeing, eluding a law enforcement officer, 2008, disposition guilty convicted out of Hernando County, disposition guilty convicted out of Pasco County for several drug charges, marijuana possession, cocaine possession out of Pasco. Disposition adjudication withheld in 2001 for obstruct without violence out of Pinellas County, and the out-of-state history is a theft.
Okay. Brian, I've got an address for you on Willow Oak Lane in Wekiwachi. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been there?
About 5 months.
You have a job these days?
I did. I don't think I have one anymore.
I'm going to leave the bond for the schedule in this case, which is the $10,000. Condition is that you'll have no contact with Brian Niles. You heard me explain no contact earlier?
Yes, sir.
Can you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Very good. I'm going to have you back in court on the 20th of February. If you're out, you should contact the PD right away. If you're not, they'll come see you at the jail, okay?
Is it Brian Niles or was it Gary Niles? I believe it's the same guy that I just got this other charge for, isn't it?
This
Are they
is
the same people?
This says Brian.
Okay, so it's
All right.
somebody else now.
Yep.
Okay,
Very good.
thank you.
John Cox. Morning, Mr. Cox. What's your date of birth?
2/15/1971.
All right. And Mr. Cox, you're here on a warrant that was signed by Judge Merritt. He found probable cause for one count of assault, being domestic in nature. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire a private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Public defender.
I will appoint the PD.
We'd ask for an RCO
Yep.
17 CF 1238.
1238.
1238, 17 CF.
And what's the return date on that one, Jane?
It's pending in front of Judge Merritt.
Oh, that's 129. I'm sorry. Okay.
That's set for jury trial on Monday?
Monday. Yep.
Yes.
I'll make sure that...
So, John, what we're going to do today, the job number one when you're out on bond on pending criminal charges is don't pick up new criminal charges. It appears to me that you have. So in your old case, which is 17 CF 1238, I'm going to revoke your pretrial release on that case. They'll hold you out without bond until Monday, which is when you'll be back in front of Judge Merritt to see when you're going to jury trial. Judge Merritt can reinstate that bond if he wants to, but you'll be on no bond either until he reinstates it or until your case...
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. On that case, I was sentenced to 2 years community control yesterday on that case.
Okay.
Or am I wrong?
Okay. No, I don't know. And our fine electronic system is worse than the paper system. So.
Did he have a PD?
Yeah, I have the paper. It says I'm supposed to report to community control. I was sentenced to 2 years community control
Okay,
yesterday.
I believe you, John. I can't do anything about this assault charge today, though, because we can't take a plea because the alleged victim has to have the opportunity to present if there's going to be a plea. What other history state?
Showing the single source offender, a disposition guilty convicted of a battery in 2017 out of Hernando County. Guilty battery out of Hernando County in 2016. A dropped domestic domestic violence battery out of Hernando County, a battery, no disposition out of Monroe County in 2009, driving with a license suspended, disposition guilty out of Monroe County in 2007, a battery, no disposition out of Monroe County in 2006, a probation violation reference out of Monroe County in 2005.
That's good. That's good. John, I have an address for you on California Street. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been there?
About 4 months.
You have a job these days?
Self-employed, sir.
I'm going to set the bond at $2,000. Condition of the bond is that you have no contact with Kelly Honeycutt. Did you hear me explain no contact earlier?
Yes, sir.
Did you understand that?
Absolutely.
Okay. And were you and she living on that address on California Street?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you're able to bond out and she's still there on California Street, you'll have to stay somewhere else until this case gets resolved. You could go by one time to collect your things, your clothes, your toothbrush, whatever you need, wherever you plan to stay. But to accomplish that, you would have to contact the sheriff's office first. They would meet you there with a deputy. You'd have a few minutes to grab your things and get going where you're going. I'm going to have you back in court on this charge on the 14th of February. If you get out, make sure you contact the PD right away. If you can't get out, they're going to come see you at the jail, all right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Cox, this is the public defender, Mr. Cox. I'm sure
Yes,
that
sir.
you indicated to probation yesterday that your address was on California Street. Is that what you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you bond out on this, you need to immediately go to probation and notify them of your new address, because you cannot be going to that address on California, okay?
Understood.
Okay.
And I confirm 2 years community control, followed by 2 years probation.
Tyler Horsley. Morning, sir. What's your date of birth?
10/7/87.
All right, we've got 2 charges this morning, trespass and resisting without violence. There's probable cause for those charges. As to those charges, you want to represent yourself, you want to hire private counsel, would you like the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll point the PD, state.
It's showing that he's a multi-source offender, dropped disorderly intoxication in 2015, a adjudication withheld, grand theft in 2011, out of Hernando County, a dropped battery out of Hernando County in 2009, another dropped battery, domestic in nature, out of Hernando County in 2006, the out-of-state history is a possessing instrument of crime out of Philadelphia in 2017, no disposition, a simple assault in 2017, no disposition, a receiving stolen property charge out of Philadelphia, no disposition, and that's what I'm showing Your Honor.
Tyler, where you been staying lately?
Homeless.
Okay. You been living outdoors?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You have a job these days?
I do some cyber.
Okay. I'm going to set your bond at $500 on each count. The total's $1,000. I'll have you back in court on the 14th of February. If you were to get out, you should go see the PD. If you can't get out, they're going to come see you at the jail, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
We set the bonds.
500 each.
1,000.
500 each. Joshua Merwin.
And Judge here is a family member.
Yep. Morning, Joshua. What's your date of birth?
5/27/89.
Joshua, the charge is violation of an injunction. There's probable cause for the charge. As to that charge, you wish to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll point the PD. State.
Single source offender, probation violation out of Hernando County in 2014, disposition guilty convicted of a Willis, and disposition guilty convicted of a possession of paraphernalia, a possession of cannabis, disposition guilty convicted 2014 out of Hernando County, a dropped battery out of Hernando County in 2012, a probation violation out of Hernando County in 2011, a probation violation out of Hernando County in 2009, possession of alcohol under 21 disposition adjudication withheld in 2009. Disposition adjudication withheld in 2008 for grand theft.
And Joshua, I have an address for you on Lake Lindsay Road in Brooksville. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been there?
28 years.
Do you have a job these days?
Yes, sir. I help my grandmother with her company.
And Mr. Bauer, did the family want to say anything? Or are they just here to see what happens?
Yes. Yes, she does want to
Come on forward. Raise your right hand for me, man. Solemnly swear firm, tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes.
State your name.
Roberta Gross.
All right, Roberta. How do you know Joshua?
He's my grandson.
Okay. What do you want to tell me?
Yesterday, pertaining to that incident, there was his wife now brought her boyfriend to court, and he, like anybody else, he just kind of reacted. But he has been living with me since the restraining order, before the restraining order, actually. Since the day before Thanksgiving, when she left him and his son. She has done this numerous times, but he always took care of the son, and he has been living with me. As far as I know, he has had basically no contact with her until
yesterday.
She came into court. Yes, sir.
Because they were here for the injunction hearing, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Which I would have probably done this, reacted the same way, But anyway, that's not here or there.
Right.
I do ask that if you would please, he is basically not a real job right now. If you would please release him with no bond or small bond so he could be released. He does have, he had a bad eye accident back in May. He is still under doctor's care. He was working with Eddie Sod. That was his last job. But of course he can't get anything in his right eye. He has lost it completely.
Okay.
And I just ask that he be released.
All right. Just so you know, I have to set a monetary bond on a case like this. Anything that's domestic in nature.
Yes, sir.
And were you here yesterday?
Yes, sir, I was.
Okay. Then this has nothing to do with the criminal case, but it looks like Judge Heinemann entered the final injunction.
Yes, sir.
There's a number of things that Joshua has to do with that. So
yes, sir.
He's going to need help to make sure that those things get addressed and get done.
Yes, sir.
In addition to dealing now with the criminal charge.
Yes, sir.
All right. So I'm going to, Joshua, what I'm going to do is set your bond at $1,000. Condition of the bond, of course, is that you have no contact with Stephanie Merwin. I have no doubt that Judge Heinemann made that very clear to you yesterday. You understand that no contact means no contact of any kind. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. And that injunction that got entered yesterday, the only person who can tell you that that injunction is not in full force and effect anymore is Judge Heinemann. Any other human being who tells you that that injunction has been dropped does not have the authority to tell you that. So you're going to not have contact with Stephanie until Judge Heinemann says it's okay. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Even if she were to call you up and say, I dropped it, that's not good enough, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to have you back in court on the 14th of February. Make sure you contact the public defender when you get out, all right?
Yes, sir. Right,
and what was his bond?
It's $1,000, ma'am. I think if you speak to a bondsman, it will be
yes,
about
$100.
$100.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yep. Robert Smith.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Morning, Robert. What's your date of birth?
9/4/1984.
Robert, this is a warrant signed by Judge Rupi. This looks like enough, man, too. Hang on a second. State, can you confirm it's a driving on a suspended license, but it looks like it was. I'm guessing that the CT case that shows open is where this came from. Yes, he has 17 CT 3962. It shows open. My guess is you guys have no info of that in order to file this case, which is 18 CF 200.
I'm looking up on a system judge.
Yeah.
Robert Smith, it spins. So give me just a second. Date of birth.
Robert, what's your date of birth?
9/4/84.
Yep.
What was the CT?
Okay. So there was
3962.
So your question is
I have a note here that says he has an open CT. I'm looking at this
Yes.
court. My guess is that case
There's
is gone.
18 CT 122 that was transferred to another court. There was 17 CT 3962 where he was adjudicated guilty in October.
Okay.
There was the KPS, which I think we're here today on.
Yep.
18 CF 200.
Right.
Okay.
And that's,
Then it looks like there may be a VOP now on 17 CT 3962. I don't know if they've arrested him on that or not.
They're working on it.
Oh, okay. So there's a warrant out there. Okay. It hasn't been served, obviously.
I don't think it's been over yet. Or it's in the pipe somewhere.
Got it. All right, Robert. So this warrant is for a felony driving on a suspended license. Judge Ruppy found probable cause. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire private counsel, like the public defender.
Public defender, Your Honor.
I'll appoint the PD and state what other history.
I'm showing a disposition guilty convicted of larceny out of Marion County in 2009. A charge of petty theft in 2010. Disposition guilty convicted out of Marion County. Grand theft guilty out of Marion County in 2009. A grand theft guilty in 2009 out of Ocala. A disposition guilty convicted of a driving with license suspended, HTO offender, 2010. Fleeing and looting, 2010 out of Marion County. Failed to register motor vehicle, disposition guilty convicted, 2008. Driving with license suspension, HTO, second or subsequent. In Sarasota in 2008. In 2007, disposition guilty of a violation of an injunction for domestic violence in 2007 out of Northport. Driving with license suspended, guilty in 2007 out of Northport. Probation violation out of Sarasota in 2006.
All right, that's probably enough. Robert, let's see. I have an address for you now on Cloverleaf Circle in Brooksville. Is that where you live?
Used to be. It was a 55 and up community I stayed in with my father when I first moved over here.
They kicked you out,
obviously.
Right?
Well, no, I moved out before they kicked him out. I didn't want to cause issues for my dad.
So where are you living now?
Hernando County Jail, and before that it was in a tent with my fiance.
Okay. Did you have a job before you got into jail?
Yes, sir. It's currently being held for me. James Peck Landscaping off of Grove Road, Brooksville.
All right. Well, here's your situation, Robert. I'm going to set a bond on this at $2,000. This is coming back the 20th of February. However, you were apparently on probation in a misdemeanor case from last month or December, somewhere in there. And there's a VOP warrant coming on that misdemeanor case. That warrant is going to be no bond warrant. So if you spend money, hang on, if you spend money getting out on this, you're going to lose that money when they arrest you on that warrant. If you stay in, you're going to get time. The time that you stay in will be credit towards any VOP sentence that you might get. I'm just telling you that because that may be what's going on. I don't know for sure as we sit here today, but that sounds what's going on. So.
She arrested me last Friday on the VOP.
You did get arrested. Oh, and that's what
right. She arrested me in court for the VOP charge.
On the 9th. Okay. There it is. I just saw that. All right. That doesn't change the date on this. You'll be back in court on that on the 9th, so you're already on no bond, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm sure you get that case resolved on the 9th, and then you'll be back in court on the 20th on this case to deal with this one, all right?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Christopher Williman. Morning, Christopher. What's your date of birth?
5/8/74.
Christopher, I got two new charges. I got a battery being domestic in nature and a charge of child abuse. And then there's appears you're also currently on probation. Is that right?
Yes.
Judge, he was just placed on probation a few days ago. And that's our concern. It was he was placed on probation for the aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
There's a PC arrest for the VOP.
I understand, sir. The only reason I was telling you that charge is in considering what bond you're going to set on the child abuse or violence that he's on. He just was placed on probation for something violent. Now there's allegations of drinking and more violence. Just take that into consideration.
Right.
Mr. Larison can tell you the other history.
Okay, go ahead.
Flip back.
Showing a, looks like that's disposition guilty, convicted of a battery out of Hernando County in 2016, a DUI no disposition in 2014 out of Sumter County, and showing that he's a multi-source offender. And out of DUI in 94, a no disposition, a public intoxication in 95, no disposition. These are out of Tennessee.
Okay.
DUI 98, no disposition. Probation violation reference in 2001. A driving HTO 2002. Probation violation in 2002. A vandalism charge in 2004. No disposition on any of these, Your Honor, and that's what I'm showing.
Okay. And Christopher, I had an address for you on Roper Road in Brooksville. Is that where you were living?
Yes.
How long had you been there?
3 years?
Do you have a job these days?
No.
All right. On the, and I'm sorry, did you tell me you wanted the public defender? I think you did.
Yes.
All right. I appointed the public defender in all these cases on the VOP. The bond, of course, will be no bond. You'll be back in court on that on the 26th of February. They told you the 20th. You'll be back on the 26th. Public defender will come see you before then. In the other two charges, I'm going to set a bond of $5,000 on each count. That's a total of $10,000. Of course, you can't bond out anyway because of the VOP. Condition of that bond, those bonds, is that you have no contact with either of the alleged victims, Natalie Acebo and Maria Pickering. In your case, I'm also specifically ordering you not to call or write them from the jail. Every incidence of attempting to call or write them from the jail could expose you to sanction for criminal contempt. I'll move those cases also to the 26th of February, so all your cases are coming back at the same time. Public defender will come and see you before you go to court again, okay?
All right.
Thank you. I have Kevin Joyce.
Judge, Mr. Joyce was placed on supervision. Was that community control or just probation? In the felony case?
I think it was probation, felony probation, with VIP, no alcohol screens, and other conditions.
And Judge, on the misdemeanor here today, he's got 75 days in. We'd ask the court to sentence him to time served.
And what's the case number?
The case number is 2017 MM4018.
And the charge?
Charge is a violation of a domestic violence injunction.
Okay. All right. And so, Kevin, you want to take time served on the misdemeanor?
Yes, sir.
You understand by entering a plea today, you give up the right to have a trial by jury, the right to confront the witnesses against you, the right to remain silent. But you want to give up those rights so we can resolve this case this morning?
Yes, sir.
Case number 17 MM4018 as to the charge that you violated domestic violence injunction. How do you wish to plead? You can plead no contest.
No contest.
I'll accept that plea, find that it's freely and voluntarily made. I'll adjudicate you guilty of the charge, sentence you to 75 days in the county jail with credit for 75 days served. Be a fine and court cost of $503, $100 for the public defender's office. That takes care of your misdemeanor case. Kevin, if there's nothing else keeping you in jail, you're now free to report for your felony probation, all right?
All right, thank you, sir.
They would have assessed it against you. Thank you. I have Rebecca Mortberg.
And Judge, that's 18 MM282. It's a similar situation that she has pled in felony to supervision. She has 27 days in. be to ask that she plead time served.
And what's the charge?
The charge is a law enforcement officer without violence. And the case number is 18MM282.
All right, Rebecca, you want to take time served on the misdemeanor?
Please.
You understand by entering a plea today, you give up the right to have a trial by jury, the right to confront the witnesses against you, the right to remain silent. Do you want to give up those rights so we can resolve this case this morning?
Yes, sir.
Case number 18MM282 adds to the charge that you resisted a law enforcement officer without violence. How do you wish to plead? You can plead no contest.
Yes, sir.
I'll accept your plea, find that it's freely and voluntarily made. I will adjudicate you guilty of the charge, sentence you to 27 days in the county jail. Credit 27 days served. Fine and court costs will be $503. $100 for the public defender's office. That takes care of the misdemeanor. Rebecca, you're now free to get out. If there's nothing else holding you in the jail, you're free to get out and report to probation on your felony, all right?
All right, thank you.
Very good. Good luck. No